Welcome to Confessions of a Small Biz Mama, episode 35. If you don't feel successful, this might be why. So I actually recorded this as a Facebook Live, but we got so many good comments about it that we actually wanted to turn it into a podcast episode. So I hope you enjoy. Hey, mamas, good morning, good morning. Happy Tuesday. All right, so it's really interesting. Last week, I was in mastermind meetings all week long. And there was this recurring theme that kind of kept coming up. And I see this in a lot of the groups that I'm in. And it's this feeling that I don't feel successful. I don't know when to stop. I feel like I have to keep going. I have to keep growing. I have to keep making my business bigger. Everybody's like striving for that, like that $1 million business, that multi-million-dollar business, that even even people I know have like really, really small businesses. They're always trying to push to like the next level, the next thing. And I think the huge reason that people experience this constant need to grow and improve and release new things and keep moving bigger is because they've never sat down and thought about what success looks like. There is no end, right? And when you never sit down to say, okay, what do I want my life to look like? What does success look like? How do I know when I've reached where I want to go? Okay, if you've never done this exercise before, I would really encourage you to do this. And so I'm gonna kind of run through what this process looked like for me, and how kind of I got to what my vision of success looks like. Okay, so here's what you need. Here's what I'd like you to do, and it helps if you kind of get out a piece of paper, and a quiet space and maybe some good music. Okay, that's kind of the prerequisite for doing this. So I want you to think about what you would want your ideal day to look like. Okay, what do you want your ideal day to look like? And I know for like a lot of people, it's really hard to do this. Okay, basically we're visualizing like, what do you want? What do you want your day to look like? What time would you wake up? Are you cleaning? Right? Are you making food? Are you at the beach? Are you in a camper? Are you at a beach house? Think about what your day looks like, where you are, what you're doing, what are your kids doing, what are you not doing, right? So, one of the things that was really talked about a lot this week is the concept of having like a house manager. And it's somebody that really helps you run the house. They either, they help with the cleaning, they help with the cooking, they help with the shopping, they help get the kids, everywhere they need to be. And I know like for some of you, that's like, oh my God, this is so foreign. Like, that's like, I don't even know. First of all, a lot of people don't even know that this exists as a job. But I think a lot of people also, like, that just seems like it's so far outside the realm of possibility. But I know a lot of people who have them, even like a part-time house manager, a couple hours a week. And so I think, sometimes one of the things that was really eye-opening for me when I started working with the online space is the multitude of different jobs that are out there that people don't even realize exist, right? So and for those of you, I know a lot of you are like thinking about starting businesses, or you want to start businesses, but you don't know what you want to do. If there is like a service out there that people hate doing, there is a market for starting a business for that. There are people that hire house cleaners that come in and do their housekeeping and their laundry. There are people who hire people to drive, their kids to activities. There are people who hire people to do their grocery shopping and their prep for them. So like literally they do the meal planning, they buy all the groceries, they do all the meal prep, they kind of put the recipes together for the people. Like the sky is the limit when you're thinking about not only what you want to do for a business, but also what you can hire out for people to do. And so when you're going through this exercise, like think about like there's some of these things I just hate to do. And so, like I have an executive assistant who goes through all my emails. She orders stuff for me, and she's virtual, right? So she does this from her home, but she has helped me get so much off my plate, that it gives me more space to do what I'm good at. So think about what you'd want your day to look like, what you want to do, what you don't want to do, the location, and then what you need to do is say, okay, now what does my week look like, right? And so like for me, like the thing I really want to do, okay, it's kind of like behind the scenes for me. My thing is like I'd love to get to a 3-day work week. I'd love to get all of my work done on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So like if you notice, like I'm going live more on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right? I've been trying to kind of block off Mondays and Fridays for like really like deep work that I need to get done, and try to keep all my meetings and everything scheduled to Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Because I know right now it's not perfect, right, for me to get there, but I know that part of my definition of success is working Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right? So I'm trying to kind of consolidate my schedule into that, okay? Because once you know what the mindset looks like, what the vision looks like, then you can sit down and say, okay, I know what this looks like for me, right? Like I visioned out what this looks like. Then you can start putting together like, okay, how much money do I need to make this happen? What people do I need to hire to make this happen, right? And so like, let's say you have a retail store, a retail boutique, okay? You say, okay, I only want to work in my store on, let's go with mine, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So that means I need to have coverage in the store the other days that I'm open. So how much does it cost for me to do that, right? What systems do I have to have in place to make that happen? And you can start building out how much it costs for you to do these things. If you want to live by the beach or you want to live by the lake, how much would it cost you to live there compared to where you live right now? And what we've found is we've actually found some really great, near beachfront or really near the beach locations that would not cost a lot more than where we live right now. And so, so I think a lot of times we think like, okay, if I want to live at the beach or I want to live here or I want my lifestyle to look like that, I need to make $1 gazillion. And we keep pushing and pushing and pushing and burning out and tired out and kind of giving up on the dream because we don't really know what the dream costs. We just think it's more than we're making right now. And so when you start to do that investigation, you start to do that research, you can put a number on what you need to do. Until then, you're just gonna stress yourself out and you're just gonna work yourself to the bone, or you're gonna get so discouraged that you're gonna stop. Okay. And so for me, being able to say what was important, because for me personally, okay, and I think for a lot of moms out there, the thing that's important is not the stuff. It's not the stuff. It's the quality of life, right? If you agree with that, let me know. Like whether you're watching this live or you're watching in the comments, give me some sort of reaction. Let me know if for you, if it's not the stuff, it's the quality of life, right? You want more time with your kids, you want more time with your spouse, you want more time to relax, you want less time at your desk. And that's why we built Bookkeeper Training School, right? Because Bookkeeper Training School is, teaches moms how to, how to build a business where you can make good money without being at your desk all the time. That's really where that concept came from, because I was seeing so many moms that were just trading a desk outside the home for a desk inside the home, and it wasn't really improving the quality of life, right? Maybe you eliminated some commuting time, but you're still working a ton of hours. And so that was kind of one of the core principles when we were developing that program. So like for me, like I don't need $1 million house. I don't even know if I need a $500,000 house. Because for me, the house isn't important. For me, the thing that's important, like the motorhome that we got, like that motorhome, I am loving the motorhome because that gives me the freedom to go explore, and that's important to me. Being outside with Jeff and Eric is important to me. I drive an 8-year-old car and I love my car, and I'm pretty sure you're going to have to like pry my, my hands off the steering wheel when I have to trade in that car. Cause I love my car and I don't have any issues with it, and it's great. Having the nicest, newest car is not important to me. Having a lot of stuff is not important to me. In fact, I'm like trying to like get rid of stuff. At this point, we're like in this stage where we're trying to like clear out everything, because I almost feel like we and I feel like we have too much stuff. Or we're trying to clear that down. So when you start to think about, okay, what's important to me? What are my values? What do I want my lifestyle to look like? You can then start to research and do the work to put a number on it and say, okay, how much do I need to make, right, to make all this happen? And when we did that, like Jeff and I, the first time Jeff and I actually did this was about 4 years ago. Actually, it was about 4 years ago about this time. I sat down with Jeff and I ran all the numbers, because even though I was home most of the time, Jeff was still working. And so I was teaching at the university. Jeff was working full time in his job. He was pretty miserable. But we didn't think, we were just thinking like, we have to grow the business more. We have to grow everything, because that's the only way that we can make enough money, for us to stay home. And so I remember like we were so tired and we were so stressed and we were just so like blah all the time. And so I remember I was doing some coaching with somebody, and I went through and I ran the numbers, and I said, okay, what do we really want? Like, we don't need a big house. At that point it was just the two of us, right? And we thought it was just going to be the two of us forever. We didn't need fancy cars. We wanted to be able to do a little bit of travel. But a lot of the traveling we were doing was through like speaking and stuff at that point. Like we were getting on stages and we were speaking at different conferences, and that was helping us grow the business. So we're like, okay, and I thought about it. I'm like, we don't really need Jeff's salary right now. What we really need is we need his time, right? Because there's a lot of stuff going on in the business that I just couldn't manage by myself anymore. And so I said, if we can get 40 hours of Jeff's time into the business every week, like imagine what we could do. And so when we got that, like, so I went to him and I'm like, look, here's the budget. Here's the thing with what we're making right now. We can get rid of your salary and we can still be okay. And showing him those numbers, we kind of said, all right, let's, and it took him, it's funny, it took him a while to really, like, embrace that he was okay with it. Because I think for guys, that's really tough to say, like, I'm going to leave my good job, and go work for my wife. Right. But it was like the best decision that we ever made. And so we made the decision in November of 2016. So it was like 4 years ago. And he left his job at the beginning of March of 2017. We got pregnant like 2 weeks later, which is kind of funny because we'd been together for like 16 years at that point. And we didn't think it was possible. And, we ended up having Eric, and our whole life has just been unbelievable since then. But if we had just said, it's got to be bigger, we need to make more money, we can't possibly do this. Like, if we would have stayed on that path, we wouldn't be here right now. We wouldn't be working together. We wouldn't have Eric. Bookkeeper training school probably wouldn't exist. Small Biz Mama wouldn't exist. Because it was really that decision and saying, okay, you know what? This is enough. What we have is enough, that put us on the path to be able to do all these other things. And so when you are on this path that you don't know where you're going, you just feel that you have to move faster, that you have to keep going, that you have to keep pushing because you don't know what the end game looks like, that's a recipe for disaster. And so I would really encourage you, if you're starting to think about 2021 and what that's going to look like, and you're almost starting to dread it because you're like, oh, it's another new year and it's more stress and it's more craziness, I would really encourage you to sit down and figure out what does success look like to me. And it doesn't have to be what success looks like for anybody else. It doesn't. Your vision of success is yours. Most people thought I was crazy when I bought a motorhome. They're like, what are you doing? But for me, that was my vision of success, like to be able to go out and work from anywhere and enjoy with Eric and enjoy with Jeff, right? And so your vision of success doesn't have to look like anybody else's. But put it down, figure out how much it costs, and then set goals to get there. It is one of the greatest ways to decrease your stress and increase your optimism. So if you need help with this, we have the Small Biz Mama group. You can feel free to post in there. If you need help kind of putting together, like, hey, what does it cost for this? What does it cost for that? Post in the group. We'd love to help you with that. Because I think it's really, really important that as moms, we understand, we can define what success looks like for us. So that way we have something to move towards that's concrete. All right, mamas, thank you so much for watching today. Let me know if you have any questions about this. And it's Tuesday, which means a new episode of the podcast dropped today. So if you're not listening, go to smallbizmama.com and check out today's podcast episode. That is smallbizmama.com. And we'll tell you everywhere you can listen to the show. All right, take care, and I will see you soon. Bye. Hey, thanks so much for listening to this live that we turned into a podcast. If you want to see all of our lives, I go live once or twice a week on the Small Biz Mama page. You can go to facebook.com/Small Biz Mama podcast, or you can just search for the Small Biz Mama podcast on Facebook. But listen, I just want to thank you so much because we know that you're sharing. We know that you're talking about the podcast because we can see it in the numbers. Our download numbers have been great the last month. And this is all because of you, because you're telling people about the show, you're sharing it with your friends. So please, please continue to do so. If you see an episode that you like, share it on your social media, subscribe to the podcast, and if you feel so inclined, leave us a review, because all of those things help new people find our show. And so we really, really appreciate you. Thank you so much for all you do. Hey, mamas, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I will see you soon.
Thank you for listening to Small Biz Mama with Kristen Ingram. If you'd like to learn how to create more margin in your life, please visit us at smallbizmama.com. That's smallbizmama.com.